Within a very short amount of time, Simon Sinek was able to beat depression, wrote two 300-pages books, delivered one of the most popular TED Talks, without using any therapy sessions or medications.
Like, how long does it take to feel depressed? I don't know.
Yeah.
And I was deeply embarrassed, feeling bad because I shouldn't. Look what I'm doing. Look at the things I'm getting to do. Like, I shouldn't be, depressed or not want to go to work. And so I kept all those negative feelings to myself.
Today, I'm sharing Simon Sinek's personal journey through depression, revealing how he overcame it without relying on conventional advice. You'll learn how to apply his approach in your own life and discover 3 powerful takeaways from his experience so that you can regain control over your life, build stronger relationships, and achieve your personal and professional goals. Simon Sinek had reached a point in his career where, despite everything seemingly going well on the surface, he was falling out of love with his work. He had built a thriving marketing consultancy in New York, working with top-tier clients on exciting projects. On paper, everything was perfect. But Simon reached a point where he simply didn't want to get out of bed in the morning. It was as if the work that once ignited his passion had become a burden, something he could no longer find the energy or enthusiasm for. But this didn't happen overnight. It was a slow decline, a gradual process that crept up on him. You know how they say that if you put a frog in boiling water, it will jump out. But if you put it in cold water and slowly heat it up, the frog won't realize it's in danger until it's too late? That's exactly how burnout works. You don't wake up one day feeling completely disconnected. It's a gradual process where over time, the joy and excitement you once felt begin to fade. And by the time you notice, you're already deep in it. Now you might wonder, how can someone with a successful career, great clients, and a thriving business still feel this way? Shouldn't they be happy? Simon certainly thought so. He felt deeply embarrassed. Look at what I've accomplished. I have a successful business, great clients, and I'm doing what I love, or at least what I used to love. I shouldn't feel this way. And so, Simon did what many of us do. He kept his feelings to himself. But here's the problem with bottling up those emotions. They don't just go away. They grow, and they can start to consume you. This brings us to a critical point. The danger of keeping negative feelings to ourselves. It's like letting a wound go untreated. It gets worse over time. So, how did Simon overcome this depressing situation? Simon's turning point came when a close friend noticed that something was off. It wasn't just a casual observation. This friend knew Simon well enough to sense that something had changed. And instead of accepting Simon's usual, "I'm fine" response, this friend leaned in. They showed real concern and kept asking until Simon finally opened up. It was in that moment of vulnerability that things began to change for Simon. He could finally start addressing the real issues rather than just covering them up. This shift marked the beginning of real change. Simon soon realized that the core problem wasn't just about the surface issues. It was deeply connected to the concept of the golden circle and the importance of understanding your why. Initially, he believed this concept applied only to marketing, explaining why some strategies succeeded where others failed. But as he delved deeper, it became clear that it wasn't just about marketing. It was about grasping the fundamental reason behind everything we do in life. Simon knew what he did for running a successful marketing consultancy and how he did it, through innovative strategies and hard work. But when it came to explaining why he did it, he was at a loss. And that's where the real problem lay. The why was the missing piece that made everything else feel disconnected. To solve this, Simon needed an outside perspective. He brought in someone who could help him see things objectively and guide him through a process of rediscovering his why. And this is where we learn another important lesson. Sometimes we can't figure things out on our own. We need others to help us see clearly, to hold up a mirror, and to guide us when we've lost our way. In a few moments, I will give you the 3 most important lessons from Simon's whole experience of overcoming depression. But for now, with the help of this example, you can learn the importance of having people in your life who care enough to ask the tough questions and who won't let you brush off your concerns. These are the friends who have the courage to say, "I know something's wrong, and I'm not going to let it go until you talk to me about it." But let's turn this around for a moment. How often do you notice that something might be off with a friend or colleague and decide not to say anything because it feels uncomfortable? Or how often do you keep your struggles to yourself because you don't want to burden others or admit that you're not as strong as you think you should be? The truth is, we're not as strong or as self-sufficient as we like to believe. And that's okay. It's in those moments of vulnerability when we admit that we don't have all the answers and that we need help. As the author Brené Brown famously said, Vulnerability is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up and be seen when we have no control over the outcome. Vulnerability is not weakness. It's our greatest measure of courage. Simon realized that he wasn't alone, and that realization made all the difference. His friend's willingness to lean into the discomfort, to keep asking until he opened up, helped Simon find a path forward. And that vulnerability, that willingness to admit he didn't have all the answers, became a source of renewed energy and purpose. So, what can we take away from Simon's experience? Well, there are three most important takeaways. First, if you're feeling like something's wrong, if you've lost the passion for your work, or if you're struggling in any area of your life, don't ignore it. Don't let those feelings fester. Second, be the kind of friend who isn't afraid to ask the difficult questions, to show genuine concern, and to keep pushing if you sense something is off. And finally, don't be afraid to reach out when you're struggling. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. Which begs the question, how can you make friends if you don't have any? To make friends, you must have the ability to talk to anyone and anywhere, even as an introvert. This might sound challenging, but it's actually very easy. In this video, I explain exactly how you can do it. I highly recommend you watch it.